Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing very well today and you're ready to kickstart your show with me, Maha Maktoum, only on PTV World. Today we have a very interesting show for you. Back in December, we had a show on infertility in Pakistan. We discussed the different treatments available, what is the situation within Pakistan, who are the experts here, how can we find out, where can we go to get treated for this situation. And as we know that Pakistan is a huge population, the estimation is by 2050 we will be a population of 300 million. And so that means that, you know, by the grace of God and, you know, people that we are reproducing at, you know, very healthy speeds. The average birth per woman within Pakistan is about 4 births, which is incredible because a lot of people within this day and age are actually suffering from infertility. Within Pakistan, it's a rough estimation from my research from 2010 till now. It's about between 8 to like 12% of infertility. And 90% of the causes are curable or treatable, and only 10% are complicated. So we're going to be discussing what's the situation in Pakistan. We're going to be talking about, you know, who is to blame, or, you know, who holds more responsibility, because as we know within Pakistan, the woman shoulders a lot of the burden. A lot of pressure is put on her. And most of the times it's a lot cheaper and most probable that the problem lies within the male partner. So we have been joined by a doctor in the studio who's an expert in this, and he will be talking about the situation and what treatments are available. We'll be discussing IVF in particular and seeing how it has evolved over the last decade or so within Pakistan as well. So for this conversation, we have been joined by Dr. Syed Sajjad Hussain. He is the CEO of the Australian Concept Medical Infertility Centre. It's one of the largest centres within Pakistan. Assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Wa alaikum salam, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a very important, relevant topic for Pakistan. So within Pakistan, we see that the infertility situation is rising. More people are having problems, and especially with healthy births. What is happening right now? I'll start with a general question.
Basically, infertility, that's a symptom where a couple is unable to conceive after a year of marriage and living a normal, healthy sexual life. And that scenario develops in about 20% people to begin with. For instance, about 100 couples get married, 80 will conceive automatically, naturally in the first year.
Right.
But the 20% are stuck up. But they do, out of 20%, what I have seen is 5% get pregnant next year.
Right.
And they conceive. It's about 15% who are left. And out of those, as well as you have rightly said, it's about 10%. 5% furthermore will get pregnant and they will conceive,
right,
and they will be on the way to the family in next year.
Right.
So it's about 10% basically who are stuck up and they face this dilemma of infertility.
Right, okay.
Now more popularly called subfertility.
I was going to say that this concept, I didn't say in the introduction, but there's this concept now of the men are now subfertile.
Yeah.
Subhuman, subfertile. So what does that mean?
That means, I mean, it's a better word to use than rather than infertility.
I think people are really scared of that word.
Yes, so it's a more civilized way to say about infertility. Sometimes, you know, in way back in 70s, it was understood that sterility, the woman is sterile.
Oh, sterile.
Yeah. So that is from there onwards has been progressing, and basically how this infertility has focused as a subspecialty.
Okay, so now in regards to the infertility within Pakistan, subfertility.
Yeah.
Now, what are the causes that you've seen over the last, you know, ever since you've been working in this area? What are the main symptoms within Pakistan for this subfertility?
I mean, it's a mixed lot between male and female, and male are equally responsible in cases where there is a failure to conceive. And on the female side as well, there are so many problems. Particularly in Pakistan, what we see more is polycystic ovarian disease.
Right.
That's primarily because of, I think, mixed of hormonal imbalance, lifestyle, the eating habits we have in Pakistan. The girls gain weight.
Right.
There's diabetes, and there's when they have this polycystic ovarian syndrome. That's about, I think we see a lot in Pakistan. Every third or fourth girl is suffering from polycystic ovarian syndrome,
Okay.
and that is a pretty major cause of infertility in female.
Right. Is that like now? This I've heard of this one quite a lot. Polycystic ovaries. Now, is that something that is treatable? Can you manage it? What should one do?
Yeah, I think I'd like to give a very clear message to the audience, to
Please
the
do.
people, yes, that 80% infertility is treatable by diagnosis, by therapeutic measures, by just management.
Right.
And the main focus has to be on the diagnosis. If you can diagnose the problem, then you can eliminate it.
Right.
But if you can't diagnose it, then you can't cure it. So it's, the in vitro fertilization process or intracytoplasmic sperm injection process, that's the end.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's the last resort.
that's the last resort. But
Right.
before that, what we do is we manage infertility, we manage subfertility. We try to, our focus, our system is designed under one roof to have the best equipment and
So what
best
do you
expertise.
do exactly? Because we're talking like, you know, so everyone who's watching, how do you manage it? What do you do? What can people expect when they go to someone who is a specialist in IVF, or, you know, who's telling them that this is why you're not conceiving? What do you guys do?
I'll give a simple rundown. You know, a couple comes to us. Generally in Pakistan, when they approach us, in most of the cases, it is pretty late, and with their marriage about 5 years and plus, and they have undergone couple of tests and couple of treatments. Unfortunately, they're not been nobody has shared their problem, exact problem why they are unable to conceive. The diagnosis is not given to these couples when they come to us.
Right.
Our first job is to investigate and to find out what is the cause, why they are facing this problem.
And we've talked about dietary habits, we've talked about the environment, we've talked about lifestyles. What are the causes for men for the subfertility?
Generally, I mean, to put it on a majority side,
Yes.
what we face is there are compromises on the semen quality, on the sperm quality, and these causes generate due to subminimal infection, which they have sometimes. Apart from, you know, there are so many other reasons which can be there. There can be varicoceles, there can be congenital abnormalities, and there are few of them.
Okay.
But majority cases, what we see is the problem with their sperm count.
Right.
Basically, there is a certain number of healthy sperm which a male needs for conception, while the woman has just one egg to offer, and it's the sperm which has to travel all the way and go and inseminate that egg. So the problem lies primarily when the count falls and the motility, the movement falls, and that issues come up, you know, for multiple reasons. They need to be identified and then treated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in regards to the multiple reasons, let's talk about the causes, because that's very important for all our viewers to
Yeah.
get the information out there. Now, what kind of lifestyle changes, what kind of habits should one pick up if they are experiencing fertility problems?
I think it has to be, it has to go both ways. I mean, you have to, as I earlier said, that we have to pinpoint and go to the diagnosis. And once we find the diagnosis, we have to appropriately address the same issue according to their situation. I mean, a female, for instance, which is very popular disease, as polycystic ovarian, weight loss can help a lot. The dietary changes can help a lot. The young girl, if any girl as a female and she is still not conceived, and the first sign she should get alarmed is with her irregular menstrual cycle.
Right.
The time she gets an irregular menstrual cycle, that should give an alarm bell to her, and
Okay.
she must approach a fertility doctor,
Okay,
if
or a
possible.
gynecologist as well to discuss this. Okay, now in regards, Now, we've seen a lot of practices. When we did the show back in December, as our viewers may remember, a lot of the times the focus is put on the female. You know, a lot of money is spent on getting her tested, getting the different treatments, but a lot of the times the problem sometimes is in the other partner. Now, when it comes to this, when you are faced with couples coming in and the female is facing the whole brunt of the situation, how do you educate and raise awareness within the couple that actually there could be a very high chance that, you know, both of you are the problem, or maybe the male might be carrying the problem? How do you guys address that?
Basically, it's a very interesting question you put, and it's about 50%, you know, it's not few. I'll take the liberty of
No, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. It's about, balance it out, and it's 50 male and 50 female.
Okay.
That is how it goes.
Right.
And generally in Pakistan, what we see is most of the male factors. Male factor is because the male has the power, economic power, the male spends the money, and male comes to us when he understands there is a problem with him. And it is quite difficult primarily to explain and understand, make them understand that the male is suffering from some problem. And but what I have seen at, we are at the far end, we are at the tertiary end of,
Okay.
handling fertility. They come to us when they lose hopes, you know, elsewhere, within their community, within their village, within their city, in a larger city. Then they find such centers like us and then come to us.
Okay.
So they already, most of them understand there at least this kind of a problem. The male understand there's a problem with him.
Okay.
So it's not much we have to do, but when we offer them options of treatment, that becomes a question.
Okay.
Because of the Pakistani economy cost for them for IVF, which is very low comparatively to the international standards, but to Pakistani people,
It's a lot.
Yes, a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to, it's a real important decision that they need to make. Okay, now in regards to once someone has come to you, let's jump ahead and talk about the client, the patient with you. The male and female are there. In regards to the females, from our research, we were looking at that they prepare like something about preparing the female body for the in vitro fertilization. You know, before you inject them. What is that? What is the process of getting in IVF for a female? We'll start with female, then we'll talk about what the alternatives for males are.
Yes, I mean, you have put a question about preparing for IVF, and preparing for IVF is part one.
Okay.
The major part is counseling.
Okay.
Number two, the investigations have to depend, and there is a controversial debate that how and what kind of investigations consultant may need.
Okay.
I mean, you know, a girl who is normally having a normal menstrual cycle, and evidently there is nothing wrong with her ovulation process. If you put too many tests on her, it will be, you know, with the rising cost of the medical treatment and all that, it can also cause anxiety.
Okay.
But primarily what we do is we have 3 tests which are dependent upon the menstrual cycle. During menstrual cycle, they are the basic tests which regulate her menstrual cycle.
Okay.
And they also give us an indication about her egg reserve, how much she has got an egg reserve with an antral ultrasound, we call it, and that is done immediately after the menstrual cycle, which gives in her ovaries how much the eggs are there. There are latest tests, you know, which are like anti-Mullerian hormone, which also give you an indication, a number of the eggs one female has got, that gives you a fair idea about her treatment plan, how to plan, what dosage will you select for her. When
So it's all done based on the ladies.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
excellent. Now, and in regards to the man, it's the same thing. You would do all the tests. Of how
Yeah, man has to be treated, and man causes have to be found out, the diagnosis done. After diagnosis, generally we give them a run through with the medication so they can improve their sperm count.
Okay, so there is medication involved in this.
Of course, yes.
Okay,
yes,
great.
yes. But this is just pre-management for an IVF cycle. A good consultant would definitely pre-manage her patient before putting her on the actual treatment for in vitro fertilization or intracytoplasmic sperm injection.
Okay.
That helps a lot, that improves the results. I mean, for instance, there are a couple of tests which have to be done a month before the cycle, the treatment cycle starts.
Okay.
So it has a month, minimum preparation you need is at least a month. Even, I mean, a center like us, you know, will do dummy embryo transfers.
Okay.
So dummy embryo transfer is the place you try to understand that where the embryo will be unloaded on the day of actual embryo transfer.
Okay.
So you have to measure it and you have to keep it. You do it 1 month before the actual embryo transfer is done.
Okay.
And then you have to keep a very, very top standard laboratory. The technicians have to be very good, and the cycle management.
Okay, so it's a lot of management, and basically people need to do their research before you go to any centers, because you shouldn't just be thrown into the treatment. Okay, now in regards to people who are trying to treat themselves in this area, in the sense that you know, they're not maybe going to the professionals to find out what's the problem, maybe they're doing home remedies and things like that. What are the dangers of that? Is that a good thing or a bad thing, or do you think that everyone needs to go to a specialist?
So what a lovely,
if they can afford it, that
what
is.
a lovely question for Pakistan. It's a dilemma of the society. What you're asking is basically, in Pakistan, you believe it, trust me, that we should be doing about 500,000 IVF cycles per annum. We should be.
Okay, that's a lot, okay.
And what we do is not more than 5,000.
Wow, okay, so that's a huge...
So you can see the big gap. So what we conclude is that there is a lot more prevalent infertility because of the size of the population, but they don't see the treatment which are available.
Okay.
And these treatments are available in major cities only.
Right.
This idea or this kind of the centers which are under one roof and they're offering all the diagnostic and therapeutic options to a patient for infertility or subfertility are not many in Pakistan, but they are there. They are growing in number each year,
Right.
and number of patients are rising slowly.
Okay.
It is becoming popular. There have been many questions. I mean, what you said that I think most of the people, they are hesitant to come forward because of the economic reasons, because of the education, because of the lack of information they have, and of course, you know, about this question, sometimes, you know, people in Pakistan particularly, they go to some religious person, they want to ask whether it is approved or it is not approved in Islam. Although Jama al-Azhar had given a fatwa way back in 1981, in 1978 was the birth of the Louis Brown, the first IVF baby, the major breakthrough of in vitro fertilization, which changed the entire scenario of management of infertility. If that had not happened, there would be no sub-centers like us dealing with infertility. There would be no specialized centers like us, because then it became an international scenario. I mean, it became a specialized area of treatment, a sub-specialty emerged, and now, of course, management of infertility or subfertility is a sub-specialty in medical science.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes, no
Okay,
doubt.
so, and it's out there and it's in Pakistan, and we've covered the religious aspect of it all for all our viewers as well. Now going forward, like, because some of the research that I did, the 2013 research said that infertility in men has increased up to 30% now, and the reason is because of the social environment, so the economic factor you're talking about, that some of them, a lot of them are in rural areas, a lot of them, work in very hot temperatures. They're sitting on the floor a lot of the time. It's a lot of manual labor. Now,
Yeah,
in regards for people like that, because we've talked for a very specific segment of society. Now, what about the people who are less fortunate? You know, what are we doing anything to raise awareness of infertility in them and how they can actually improve their situation?
Yes, I think a lot of activity is generally going on in this area within the meager resources the centers have. Particularly, I would say about Australian Concept Medical Center team. We have been engaged since 1998, and we have contributed a lot in making it aware, and you know, and people. We have been holding seminars, we have been holding different talks, we have been going to villages, we have been to the print media, we come and we also talk, of course, on electronic media. Now, of course, there is social media, and there is a success stories which are shared with the people, and they see, yes, the success stories are the most convincing part.
Okay, great.
And as you said, that there is a in the male, you mentioned because they do have these problems because of their work-related issues, you know, like people who sitting on ovens, tandoors, rickshaw drivers,
Even
working,
the tailors.
Yeah, tailors, the people who are exposed to chemical factories, the pesticides, so many things, you know.
Okay, but you guys are playing your part and you're raising awareness.
We're trying to do our best, yes.
Great.
We're trying to do our best.
Well, we've actually run out of time. Thank you so much for your time. It's been absolutely very interesting, and it's been good to know what's happening within Pakistan, what people are doing. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, guys, so I hope you enjoyed the show, the first segment. In the second segment, we do have something very fascinating as well. But it's very important to realize what is the situation within Pakistan, because we're such a growing population that it's important to know what is the situation. Are our people healthy? Do they have the right resources? And if they don't, what can we do? And what can we do ourselves to fix the factors around us? With that, we're going to go for a short break. And when you come back, we're going to change it up a bit. So do stay tuned.
Some of the world's most fascinating brasswork originates from the city of Peshawar in the province of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Brasswork involves engraving beautiful patterns and shapes using traditional methods known as Naqshi to describe sketching and Kudai, translated means scraping. Swat is renowned for its woven textiles and embroidered products. While weaving is carried out in many major cities, Swat in particular is a long-established weaving center whose blankets are mentioned even in early Buddhist texts. Swat has also retained its traditional form of embroidery, which is probably the most creative and colorful needle artwork found anywhere in the world. The enchanting arts and crafts of Pakistan.
Your mornings can always be amazing.
As long as you tune into World This Morning.
Assalamu alaikum, Jianu, Pakhairagale, ni how much?
From celebrating all the festivities
To the unsung heroes of Pakistan.
I'm the one who's the youngest Manson.
People from all walks of life.
Because I was the first beauty queen to do beatboxing in this world.
to celebrity interviews.
There is nothing stopping you from success.
We try to give you
A little taste of Pakistan.
every Monday to Friday.
9:05 a.m. on PTV World. Welcome back, everyone. And before the break, we were talking about the issues within Pakistan and infertility and what is happening, who's responsible, who's to blame. And actually, no one's to blame. It is a partnership, just like marriage, just like anything else. And within Pakistan, they are making leaps and bounds in the medical field. And also, one thing that we forgot to mention is that Pakistan in IVF and infertility treatments are amongst the cheapest in the world. And actually, they are on par with the quality. If you do your research, the right centers have the, as you know, international standard systems over here. So people come from abroad and do that as well. So we wanted to highlight one positive aspect of the situation. Now, taking a slight turn in the road, we're going to be discussing Pakistan. We're going to be talking about ambassadors of Pakistan, people who are representing, taking the name forward, who are trying to make the world a better place for Pakistanis and everyone else involved. And today we've been joined by Mr. Jamal Ahmed Qasser. He has just been appointed the Diplomatic Business Ambassador and as the DC Commissioner for UN Affairs. Assalamu alaikum, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're a man of many hats. So we were just discussing this. That's why we had such a long break. We were trying to figure out how to introduce Mr. Jamal. Now, in regards, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you very much.
It's a very big deal what
Thank you
you're doing.
very much.
But I'm going to start from the beginning for our viewers. First of all, what is diplomatic business? You know, why are you the Diplomatic Business Ambassador, first of all?
Right. You know, Diplomatic Council is actually a global think tank,
Yes.
which has the highest advisory role at the UN. So they are working together with the UN, and I was actually advising a Diplomatic Council for many years. So a few months back, they offered me if I would like to advise the UN as a commissioner. So I said yes. So that's a brief introduction about that.
Okay, wonderful. Now, in regards to being appointed DC Diplomatic Council a commissioner for the UN, what did you have to do? What was the journey like for you?
when I that's a long story. We moved to Germany in 1980 when I was 8 years old, and we had to struggle, understand the country, understand the language, the culture, the hard German culture, and then I tried to. After I didn't finish my study at that time, I just started a business which was quite successful, which was a textile business. 2006, I converted the business to Kaiser Equity Investments, which is an investment company, so I had more time. So and at that time, actually, I understood my full potential, and I said, I need to study a bit more. So I started a post-graduation course, which I've done, and then I went to Oxford for a course, and then finally, I graduated from OPM, from Harvard Business School. And after that, actually, diplomatic council actually knew that they have to offer me the place.
Okay, excellent. Now, in regards to going forward, so you realized your full potential, you started working, then you got into the diplomatic council, you were an advisor for many years, and then they finally gave you the commissioner. Now, the journey must have had some its hurdles and its difficulties. So what were those difficulties, and how did you overcome them? Because that's what people like about success stories. Is that how did you overcome? Because in Europe, it's more difficult.
Definitely. I think that life is the best school. So I left school for the 19 and went into business. And I was 23, 24 years old, and I was facing my first bankruptcy. I had about 500,000 Dutch mark debts, and I had two choices: either I go for bankruptcy or I find ways to pay it off. So I prayed and I said, which is the way, and I decided to fight. So at that time I started importing goods from Leicester, from Manchester, all these Pakistani Indian factories, who were delivering me goods in Germany. I understood that I can't make the money with them, that much money that I can pay 500,000 off. Right. So I went to China, I went to China, and that time China still had the quotas and it was difficult to do the business there. And some way I got through, and within 2 years I done big profits, and I actually paid that off. And that was my first big test in life. Okay. So, and that's that way. I mean, there were many times that then when I expanded much further, in 2004-05, we had still big problems. The company grew and we had more debts and we had more problems. And but I've still found a way of Kaiser Equity Investment and investing into buildings and companies and pay that off as well. So I think that was my test in life, right? Okay.
Now, in regards to your career, when I was looking at your profile and everything and all the work experience you had, like you've just mentioned, you went through hurdles, you traveled the world to find solutions, that gave you an insight into different cultures. Now, jumping ahead, getting to the diplomatic council, because this appointment is a very big thing. Now, what kind of role will you be playing? What kind of issues will you be discussing? And why is it significant to have a Pakistani German, who's doing very well on the board?
Right. Every country has its representation at the UN. And then there are civil society seats. They're very important because there are situations where a country is so weak, or is getting aid from America, for example, and he can't talk, So the civil society is then actually asked to come with the facts. For example, there was a debate about Libya, and I said I don't like the practice of regime change. Libya couldn't say that, But my role now is I'm preparing for the UN General Assembly, which is starting in mid-September to 26, and I'm gonna do some speeches there. I'm gonna advise various countries. And the second thing, which is very important, is that after becoming the UN Commissioner, many countries contacted me. Even the Pakistani government contacted me. The ambassador immediately invited me to Berlin, and then the Iranian government called me, and the Syrian government called me. Okay. So what they know is, okay, in the civil society, there's there's a guy sitting, you know, he could be understand us more than the others. So let's see what he says, you know, and let's take his advice.
Okay, now, and in regards to going forward, when you have to start the preparation, what are your personal issues or points that you would like to highlight? I mean, because you're in such a, you know, potentially influential role.
You know, the world is on a brink of catastrophic global war. Okay. You know, we have a...
Not to be negative in the morning, guys, don't panic. We're going to try and avoid it. So
yeah. Yes. Yeah, but that's a fact.
Yeah.
You know,
okay.
So you know, after a long time, Europe is facing again a Cold War with Russia, which is very dangerous. You know, okay. And we know that the supporting the rebels in Syria wasn't very intelligent. You know, so the whole country is destroyed. You know, and I think it's time to say everything which is important to preserve the world peace, and that's my duty.
Okay, great, that's wonderful. And when you're in Pakistan right now, you live in Germany as well. What have you seen? I mean, because obviously you were based there, you did your education from America and there and England. Coming back, are you seeing, you know, things going in a positive way? There's a lot of you know, humanitarian work going on. Are you seeing Pakistan taking the right steps?
I think the army is doing a good job. I mean, there was a time a few years ago, every few days there was a attack in Pakistan, you know, which actually destroyed the image totally, you know, but I think General Sharif is doing a good job. And it was very painful a few days ago when we had the attacks in Quetta, you know, but after a long time, you know, we are seeing that the problems at the moment in Karachi. But I think everything which is happening at the moment in Pakistan is turning in a positive way, okay. You know. And I think, thank God, we have one institution which actually works, which is Army. You know, that's. And
there are a lot of them work actually, and we're working on fixing them as well.
Yeah.
And you're sitting in one of them, so we cannot say that they don't work. Now, moving on, because you know, this is a incredible, you know, opportunity for you, and you've done great, and you know, rightly so, you've been appointed commissioner. But apart from doing this, and apart from talking about politics and raising awareness and giving people advice, you've also written a book as well. We should highlight your other things that you've achieved. Now tell us about that, because that's in German.
Yeah, it's at the moment.
What's it called? Because I couldn't pronounce it.
Yeah, it's in German. It's Der fremde Erfolgsfaktor, which is translated the foreign success factor.
Okay.
You know, I was approximately a year ago, I was sitting in Germany, and I saw the influx of the refugees coming in the country. You know, definitely what happened at that time was wrong as per German constitution, because it says you have to protect the people in the country. And to protect the country, you have to know who's coming in the country. So just letting come 1 million people, you don't know who they are, was definitely wrong. But because I advised the German government for many years, I was advising them on demographics, and they have a big problem. They have they need about 15 million people. You know, many people don't know Germans just have 11 million children. You know, and the family system is not very strong, that they have a lot of children. And
well, we just had our first segment was on how strong the Pakistani family system.
Oh, that's great.
4 children per women, 4 births.
Oh, that's very good. But still, you know, that's the women are keeping the Pakistan alive. You know, they're doing more for Pakistan than men. You know, so you know they're doing a big job. Okay. But in Germany we have just 11 million children. How can you run an 80 million country with 11 million children, and with the mentality of not having children? You know, so that's the one. That's the one problem. On the other side, we have about 25 million people who are above 65. You know, so the combination is getting worse, and we need influx of immigrants.
So the book was to highlight.
Yeah, I was highlight, and it was saying that it's very important that Germany should have a proper legislation, you know, which they don't have, like Canada, you know, and a welcoming culture, and the foreign policy about Syria, you know,
okay,
so
all the German-speaking people can read that in the book.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. That's fascinating. Although, you know, I think in regard, I mean, obviously you look at it from the political, economic, and business side, but from the social side, you know, I think the rest of the world applauded Germany with the way they treated the refugees and the fact that they were so much more welcoming than the rest of the countries.
Yeah.
It kind of showed that they had a much more, they understood the repercussions of war, and you know, they understood the pain, because Germany also have recently went through something like that. But actually, we run out of time. Is there any last message you would like to share with any of our viewers watching today?
I mean, for Pakistan, I think we are on the right direction.
Great.
We shouldn't be a country of fractions. We should be a one country, and we should clear our differences. That's very important. We have seen a lot of Muslim countries just going big problems and just destroyed. And either we solve our problems or somebody's going to solve it.
Yeah.
So that's
and
my
probably
message.
not in the way we would want
Yeah.
them to. Great, thank you so much. And that was Kamal Kester, who was appointed the Diplomatic Council Commissioner for the UN. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, guys, so I hope you enjoyed the show. The first half, we were talking about the fertility problems within Pakistan and what is out there. And the second, we were celebrating a Pakistani who is who's done great for Pakistan and is the Diplomatic Council Commissioner for the UN. So with that, we're going to log on to our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of World This Morning, our Twitter page, World This Morning without a G, our Daily Motion and YouTube page, which is World This Morning, and the repeat is at 11 p.m. Pakistani time. And if you're watching on global, wherever you are in the world, you have to do the maths, I'm afraid. But have a wonderful day, and I will see you bright and early tomorrow. Goodbye.